Hello everybody and welcome back to the virtual open wheel series. Today it is round 7 of 8 and it is the Belgian Grand Prix today. So today we were at the Circuit of Spa. I don't have a fact sheet ready because I am lazy. But it is Spa, one of the most historic F1 circuits on the calendar. Spa has been a staple for many years, pretty much since the beginning of F1. Of course, the whole circuit has changed quite a bit to be more modernised for modern day cars and things like that. One change mainly, sorry about all of the things, my phone is... So one of the things that is new in the last sort of 10 years or so is the bus stop chicane that you have seen Peter Jones, I think we're on board with now. He's just gone through that. So at the moment we're in practice getting ready for the race. You can see we're with Dimitri. And one big thing that's happened today is that hello Nataku, that's German. So one big thing to look out for today is most of these cars have radiator on radiator 1 in their setup. And the thing with that is because this is Spa, most of the lap is flat out or fairly flat out, and it is very, very wearing on the gearbox. Like some of the turns you have to literally downshift when the car doesn't really want to downshift. So that means towards the end of like a flying lap, if they're on the lower radiator size, going into quali now, if they're on the lower radiator size, then that means that the cars will start to smoke after a lap or so. Now, because mechanical damage is off in the server settings, that means that this is no problem, except for the drivers will have to contend with if they have smoke on a car park in the pit lane. The drivers will have to contend with that today. As you can see, everyone rushing to get out of the pit lane, having to give Max Weichel space there. Jakub, I think that is. There we go, everyone rushes out of the pit lane. We go qualifying. So the big thing today is that both the drivers and constructors championships can be secured. So being unprepared, I haven't got a graphic showing you the drivers championship, but I will tell you how 8-6 and Max Weichel can win their respective championships if I can find my piece of paper which has this all written on. So basically how it works is, so at the moment 8-6 are on 292 points and Coping Motorsports, which is a car we're following right now, is on 207 points as a team. So the difference is 85 points. So over 2 races or in a round, the maximum you can get is 70 points. So as long as 8-6 keep the gap to Copic above 70 points, then they will win the Constructors' Championship, which they've got Max Weichel and Aegis Batters. So it's looking quite likely that they will win the championship today. And then when it comes to the Drivers' Championship, that's a little bit different. It's harder for Max to win the Drivers' Championship because he's got Jakub. The gap is currently 13 points. So if Max Weichel scores 28 points, I think it is. Yeah, if he scores 28 points, and that would basically mean that Jakub can't get back at him. That's what he says his working out is. And I haven't really concentrated on the Drivers' Championship. But this is that guy now, Jakub. He will be hoping to hunt down... Not like that, though. He's going to go back onto the track, you'd imagine, let everyone through. The trouble is, his tyres will be quite cold. I mean, they'll be warm after the spin, but they'll be quite cold having to wait that long. So we'll follow him. I'm just going to double check my stream audio is okay. Stream audio is okay. That's what we've concluded. So, obviously, action point is this corner right here, or complex, Eau Rouge and Raidillon. But for the purposes of simplicity, I will probably be referring to the entire thing as Eau Rouge, because it doesn't matter that that's Radion actually. But you can see this slipstream that he's getting off of Alex Hallows is going to really help Jacob, but he's also going to lose time with that dive bomb, and I imagine there'll be some angry messages exchanged between these two after these laps. So that slipstream though will have helped, and slipstream is very important here. It's Spa and Monza that are the most important ones for slipstream. Of course, though, Spa is still a relatively high downforce track. Most of the drivers here are running 13-13 wings, 14-14 wings, 14-15 wings, or wings that are basically in that sort of region from 14 to 15. I know Dimitri's running 15-15 wings, but he's got his gear ratios so that he doesn't lose that top speed on the Kennel Straight. You can see the car ahead, the Goma car of Gabriel Lafreniere, compromising Jakob's line potentially here. He's going to have to let him through, you'd imagine, because Jakob is clearly faster. And he does. Quite simple. So Jakob going quite cleanly through here. Obviously it's a very important day for Kopik, even though it is highly unlikely, even if 8-6 don't win the title today, it is highly unlikely that Kopik will win it anyway. Oh! Gabriel Lafreniere going for the move in qualifying. That's an interesting tactic. And what you can see already is that the Iris car of Dimitri smoking, Max Weichel smoking, so is Gabriel Lafreniere and Alex Hallows. Jakob goes fastest, but is immediately overtaken by Aegis Battars, who both on 1:58s. And we'll have a look back. Simon tangled up with Aegis, who is also smoking. So is Dimitri. Everyone is... Look at that angle up, Eau Rouge and Radion. Follow Alex Hallows. Just look at this camera shot. You can get some lovely camera shots at Spa, so we'll see what camera angles we can get. So I imagine the smoke screening is probably going to be a bit of a problem later on in the race. It can't be too huge of a problem because most people will have it turned off. It's just that I want to give you the best stream experience possible. So, sorry, fireworks. So we will be yes, so I will have the smoke turned on. But as you can see, look at this. That's going to be impairing Alex Hallows' vision quite a bit following in the slipstream of Gabriel Lafreniere. And when you've got when you're going 3 abreast, that is going to be horrendous. Because in these cars you have to be very alert, because the cars can really jump at you on the downshift. Not so much here at Spa, because downshift, even though it is quite wearing on the gearbox, you spend most of the lap above 3rd gear, and it's really in 2nd gear and 1st gear that these cars become quite treacherous if you brake wrong in them. But you can see, even though he's getting all of that slipstream and his top speed is rocketing up to like 280 almost kilometers an hour, that still means that he's going to have that horrible just lack of vision from the smoke. Obviously in real life you would have a problem with this, because Alex Hallows going 9th, by the way, and he kind of outbrakes himself, and Aegis goes onto the back of him. Let's talk about Massi Rivoli. Now, I don't think Massi can win the championship. He's too far back for that, but he's been scoring some very good points this season in his reading game car. Now, I know our goal is to finish 3rd in the constructors, but after a run of a couple of races where Monza being pretty tough time for him, with Simon not attending either, it would be hard, and I'd say we are definitely the dark horses to get a top 3 in the championship, especially with this man, Dimitri Giannopoulos, or Giannopoulos. Again, I will definitely work out his pronunciation by the end of this, by season 5. If they carry on, that is, because I know Dimitri is definitely set on carrying on. It's his, obviously this is his championship. He wants to get his championship back that he lost in season 3 and has lost in season 4, definitely. But obviously Iris have had a few issues with Dio Faranos, the owner of Iris, who was had a little bit of a difficult season. So considering he's retired from R-Factor 1 races, to my understanding, that means that Dimitri needs to, is either going to be looking for a new drive or he'll be able to carry on with Iris. And it would be sad to see Iris go, because Iris are one of the staples of the Virtual Open Wheel Series. It is a, they are like the Ferrari, in many respects. You know, if 86 are Mercedes, Iris a Ferrari, and Reading Game a Red Bull because of the junior team, which that is actually an interesting point to talk about. So Reading Game's junior team, Mazumda Motorsport, they have announced their partnership has ended, which if you find a Mazumda Motorsport car, which isn't on Peter Jones, it is further back. It'll be with Ryan Mazumda or no one. Apparently Mazumda are, oh yeah, they are German. Here we go, German. So, following in the tow up Eau Rouge, Radeon, slight airtime. That was a mistake. But if we look at the Mazumda car, you can see that all Reading Game logos have been removed, and their brand new sponsorship deal with Project Racer, which is monetary now, actually, I've heard. Oh, fairly nice new livery, except I imagine they'll come back with a better one next season, because this is literally just airbrushing out the Reading Game logos. But German struggling right now, 7 seconds off the pace. Which isn't the best for him. Currently, I think that means he's under the 107. Max Weichel, the 157.6, currently sitting on pole. We'll see how long is left in qualifying. 5 minutes 43 left in qualifying. So definitely enough time for a couple more runs, but because of the long lap time here at Spa, it is going to be a little bit of an issue if these guys don't get runs in soon, because it's like a 2-minute out lap. So you only really have time for 2 laps if you leave the pits now, which means we should see everyone on the track. In theory, yeah. Everyone, like Joe Gillett, Josh Jones, all leaving the pits now. But German, trundling along nicely. Blue helmet, the number 86 car. I'm sure Max Weichel or Justin Meister would love to snap that up from him. In the coming seasons. Simon giving off a lot of smoke. He currently sits in... I will try and get another broadcast package thing sorted for next season. There are a lot of announcements that Max will be announcing in the next few weeks regarding the league. Everything's really exciting, but I have been given strict instructions to not say anything on this stream. Simon sits in P5 at the moment. So, so I won't be revealing anything. But when it is released, I imagine in the next couple of weeks, it is some very exciting news. Creox Baguette, he's new. He's the creator of DOSstream. I don't know if he's new to the league, because I know DOSstream is quite a is quite an old sponsor for the league. Partnership. No real sponsors unless you're Mazumda. But yeah, so he's had quite a Marmite Marmite first season, with just being all right. It's been a good first season in the league. Max Quavset's P11. Now that'll be his running for the day over. You would have to think. Simon going out for a lap. I think he'll only just have time if he pushes. And I don't know what he's doing. Is he done now? It looks like he might be done. Peter Jones then. He is currently sitting P4. Very good performance from him in his first full season in a Virtual Open Wheel Series seat. Definitely one of the dark horses at the start of this year, but he has shown some brilliant pace and potentially a future world champion, you would think. Trouble is, the championship fight with 8-6 is always going to go one way. But the Drivers' Championship fight has been very good this season. As much as we haven't really been focusing on it, we've just been focusing on getting through the rounds. The Drivers' Championship fight has been fairly good, to all credit. Giving all credit to the drivers. Simon down to P6, Jakob having a little bit of trouble. We'll see if Simon has done any more running. I think he must be. He must be on track. There he is. But I'm not sure if he's going to have time. Sorry, I've just knocked my mic over. That was embarrassing. I'm not sure if he's going to have time to continue to do a flying lap. So we're going to check. You can see the racing for Antoine on the reading game car. Of course, Spa, unfortunately, where the incident in F2 happened. So, the racing for Antoine, the racing for Antoine text on the cars, meaning a little bit more. Obviously not much a virtual championship can do in the way of helping, but any support shown is support shown. Flat out now down into Blanchimont. Now I've realised I've never actually ridden an onboard lap with any of my drivers, because I've always been too scared that that would be classed as bias. So we're going to it now. We're going to do it. Might as well. Braking at the 100-metre boards now to get a good exit off the bus stop. Really, really difficult, especially with understeer that you might get if you don't get it right on the exit. But he gets a good exit there. Third gear, fourth gear, 230-40 miles per hour as he brakes heavily down into La Source. Second gear, getting on the power quite early, or quite late I should say. It's going to be a flat run down to Eau Rouge. Eau Rouge is flat, Radion it's flat, and then onto the Kemmel Straight. 270 miles an hour he should be reaching if he's running decent wings. I think he's running 14 wings, so over like 275 kilometers per hour is what he should be reaching. Mainly making use of fifth gear and not sixth gear, down to third, hitting the apex, hitting the second apex, and now this should be comfortably flat. Fourth gear really opening up the car now into this off-camber corner here. Third gear is going to be quite treacherous on the exit, but he doesn't use as much of the track as maybe he'd like to, but then he gets on the curb and gets on the other curb to gain as much time as possible. This is almost flat, slight lift as he hits the apex there before getting on the power as early as he can. Not using as much of the track there as he possibly could, but it's all for lap time in the end. Shifting once there, and again, really tricky section this in these cars because you don't know how much speed you can actually carry. Braking just after the tyre marks, which is a good indicator in R Factor usually. Not using much of the curb, staying quite clear so that he doesn't have to use, so that he doesn't lose time. But now we're going to go through the final flat out section, this little kink, and then Blanchimont hits the apex, hits the curb on the outside using as much of the track as possible. And then he's going to brake at the 100-metre boards heavily down to second gear. He's going to go quite deep into the bus stop, but he gets on the power nice and he uses the curb to make sure he is turned in, doesn't get any understeer past that point, and he comes across the line to finish qualifying. And what was that? We will see now. That was a fourth place with a bear with me, with a 1:58.078. Max Weichel is on pole, good for 8.6's title contention, or title fight. But anyway, we will be going to a quick break now so I can have a drink, and then we will be back with you for the feature race here at the Virtual Open Wheel Series Belgian Grand Prix. See you in a minute. there is 1 minute to go in this warm-up session here at the Virtual Open Wheel Series Belgian Grand Prix. So, we saw, oh sorry, that is the awful new Steam page. I wanted to bring this up, but that Steam page is absolutely horrific. They ruined Steam. And still fireworks. I am fuming, is the only way to put it. But the pit lane is in a shroud of quiet now, as most cars are in the pits doing nothing, waiting for warm-up. There's no point starting anything apart from idle donuts in the middle of the pit lane anyway. But as you know, Max Reichel was on pole. He's your pole sitter today with a 1:57.0, I think it was. Then, I don't know the rest. But it is looking good for an 8-6 title. 8-6 taking the title today. Joe Gillett turning his car into a BAC mono. But we've got not long to go. I didn't actually see the time there because I was looking at their anime thing, and we are ready to go. So we will be going in any minute now, and we're gonna wait. Go to the grid.
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Gets me every time, and today I haven't even got my earphones on. Right, we will find Max Reichel, and we will wait for the formation lap, a very long formation lap here at Spa. Well, it's a 2-minute normal lap, so formation lap will easily be 2 minutes 30, 3 minutes. Now, warming your tyres up is very important for Spa because you don't want any understeer. Well, actually, you probably do want more understeer than oversteer, but you still don't want understeer. And we are underway for the formation lap. Watching everyone go through La Source nicely. I think it's La Source. I'm pretty sure it's La Source. Because that's what Jeff on the F1 game always says. Up Eau Rouge through Raidillon for the first time. You can see how much slower they go. I say how much slower they're going. They are still going at like 210 kilometers per hour. But warming up his tyres there, Max Reichel. Everyone else is warming them up nicely. Into the chicane at the end of the Kennel Straight now. Picking up as much, or just rubbering in the line, really. Going through this section now. I'm sorry, I only know like 3 of the corner names. Now, I would have to say that Max Reichel is definitely the favourite for today's Grand Prix, and I'd say 8-6 are definitely going, or I'd say are probably going to retain their championship today. Remember, if Max and Aegis both outscore or if they just outscore the Copic guys, they will win the championship. And obviously, if Max Reichel takes 28 points with Jakub taking none, then he would win the Drivers' Championship today as well. But we know Jakub, that's highly unlikely, and you know full well it is going to get quite hectic up Eau Rouge and Raidillon in lap 1, especially on the sprint race. If 8-6 outscore Copic, the sprint race might be that little bit more exciting because the nerves will be running high. And obviously, even if 8-6 do win, like not get their championship today, Copic would still have to get a 1-2 and a 1-2 at, or realistically would have to get 2 1-2s in series, and that would be very hard for anyone because series is obviously a track that no one's ever driven before, considering it was made by Ron Squire. So no one's driven it before, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it has actually been made yet. It could be, I don't know. I'm gonna wait for the lights now. You can see the burnout there from Max to give himself a little bit of extra rubber for the start. 3 red lights, 4 lights. It's 5 lights and it's lights out, and away we go. That seems to be a very good start from Mr. Alex Hallows at the back there. But it's also a good start for Aegis and Jakub. And Jakub goes through on Aegis, but Aegis pushes him out wide, but is unable to make it. That's a bad start there for Massey. Through Max Weichel, Jakub, Aegis, and then Dimitri. Simon has got himself in the mix for Peter Jones, and now Peter Jones is going for the move on Simon. Up, Eau Rouge is unable to make it, but onto the Kennel Straight. Now he's got the slipstream, and he's going to pull out, hopefully into the slipstream of Dimitri and Jakub there, which means and Max Weichel there, sorry. And he gets the move done on Simon for now. And we'll look further to the front, and you can see everyone weaving. There seems to be one of the other Copic guys going wide there. And then the Krauset Grand Prix, and there's an issue for Gabriel Lafreniere, who goes wide. And now both Krauset Grand Prix cars are through on Alex Hallows. You think there's an Iris car getting in the mix as well, and Massey, who has had a very bad first lap. So now it is a huge dogfight at the back of the field here, with Alex Hallows finding himself in a Krauset Grand Prix sandwich, but not for long, because Alan Kobic will look to make that change in his Iris car. And so will Massey, Massey will also be looking to make it change. But for the moment, it seems fairly solid, and we'll look further to the front. Dimitri has gone through on Simon. Now we actually run Aegis in first, Jakub in second, and Max in third. That shows how powerful the slipstream is here, and how hectic the first lap has been already at this Belgian Grand Prix. So now we look further back, and Dimitri, Simon, and Peter Jones are all having a battle. Maybe we'll see a dive bomb from Peter and Dimitri. They go for almost a pincer move, and Simon, with the late break, almost makes it, and then he's on 2 wheels. And then Dimitri can't make it through, and Peter Jones holds the position. Simon has definitely come off a lot worse there, and now the Copic car is looking to go through on him. You maybe think into La Source. It is a very, very tight corner, but we'll see what he does. Alma Hammond isn't that stupid, and he'll be looking to get him up Eau Rouge or on the Kemmel Straight, you would imagine. Now let's move forward again, and the cars are starting to smoke, which is not good. Up Eau Rouge they go in, and Radion and Jakub goes for the move on Aegis Batars for the lead of the race. You have to think he's going to get it. Aegis is driving the widest 8.6 car you will see. He brakes a bit later than him though, Jakub does, but Aegis seems to be holding on to the position quite well as the cars smoke away with the extra engine heat that a track like this makes. And Jakub goes for a gap that perhaps isn't there, but he's going to make it. He's going to make it stick. Now, as it stands, 8.6 are still outscoring Copic, which would mean it'd be even harder into the sprint race for Copic to keep the championship fight alive heading into series, which what a finale that would be. But now it is settled down at the front. You have to think Jakub is going to try and control this race now. But what does that mean for the championship fight with Max Weichel and Jakub? Well, it wouldn't mean much, because I think Max would still stay in the lead of the championship, but not by much now. And you can see everyone else going through. German trundling along at the back. Not necessarily the best start for him. I wonder what's gone on there. But everyone is starting to smoke now. Joe Gillett may be looking for a move on Creox Baguette, I think that is. It is. Maybe going to go for it into the bus stop. Now, any move into the bus stop would be quite adventurous, with Massey going through on Alex Hallows, maybe. Or is Hallows going to defend the position into La Source? I think he might be. They make contact, and both of them keeping it on the road there is quite impressive, especially with no damage. Now, up Eau Rouge, we're going to follow Massey up Eau Rouge and onto the Kemmel Straight to see if he is able to make anything stick. He gets much better exit out of Radion, but Alex is able to keep him at bay. Although you would have to think that with the slipstream now also being smoke screened, though, you would think with the slipstream, Massey's going to pull to the side. He's going to brake later than him. And he's going to go through for the move on Josh Jones. Sorry, I think I said Peter Jones. And it looks like he's made that stick now, but Josh Jones might be looking to have a go back at him. And is someone else getting involved? I don't think they are. But now Josh Jones goes to the inside, and Massey seems to have fended him off until the exit of that corner, and he's still fending him off. I thought that was a done move from Josh Jones there, but apparently not. Now, maybe he's going to go for the move on Massey into here. And Massey goes wide and is unable to defend the position any longer, but perhaps this battle will continue to rage on. Max Weichel is now in the lead. You can see on your screen there. And we will class this move as done for the minute, even though it probably isn't, and change our attention to the front to see what's going on. It goes Max, Jakob and Aegis, which means now the title fight has swung right back into Max Weichel's favour. But not by much still. There's still room for series, which would be very interesting if Max is able to hold on to it. So we should be going to the pit stop phases soon. We are on lap 3 of 12 and being such a long... Oh, and that's Peter Jones with a spin. And is everyone else through here okay? You'd have to think so, but look how close his racing is, and there's Massey in for his pit stop. And so, is that someone without a front wing? No, it isn't. It's just a black front wing. Amma Hammond, up Eau Rouge and Radion there. So currently we've got Max Weichel, Jakob, Aegis Battars, Dimitri, Simon, Amma Hammond, Joris Bilkins, Max Krauset, as Jakob goes for the move on Aegis, potentially. You have to think he's going to do it, and he is going to do it. He makes the move stick. This is a constant dogfight at the top of the for the podium positions here. Jakob has really shown his pace this season, and he is showing it now. Although the championship isn't won or lost yet, you have to think that if Max Weichel can hold on to this, then he would be very much so in the driving seat. But as it stands, still 8-6 are outscoring Copic Motorsports with Amma Hammond. I'm not sure where he is actually. Amma Hammond is... I think he's in P8 by the looks of things, looking at our scores there. It's not scores, you know what I mean. Amma Hammond is 6th, yes. Or no, I said 8th. He's 6th, which would mean 8-6 still outscore him quite easily. And if 8-6 just outscore Copic in both races, but now Aegis is dropping off a bit with Dimitri going for the move into the bus stop, I think this is. It is the bus stop. He thinks better of it, which is probably the sensible option, but then he goes into the pits. You'd think that now on lap 5 that people would start going into pit stops. Lap 5 of 12, or lap 6 of 12 now, sorry. And Jakob goes wide there, which means he's got his work cut out to overtake Max Weichel on the Kennel Straight now. He just has to get a good exit out of Eau Rouge and Radion and stay in the slipstream, tuck in, bike as late as he can. Max does his best to compromise the slipstream, but it isn't enough, and he goes to get the racing line back, and you have to think he does his job for at least that corner. Now, this has already been an extremely exciting race, and Max Weichel! That's Max Weichel! He's off of the track, but he still manages to defend the position from Jakob for the moment. We would have to have a look at the replay to deem if that was an unsafe rejoin to the track, but from the outside looking in, that did look okay. Jakob going wide there, and that might allow the door to open for Aegis, but he is definitely too far back for that. On second thought, we run Max Weichel, Jakob, Aegis, Simon, Amma Hammond, Joris Bilkins, Peter Jones, Max Krauset, Gabriel Lafreniere, Alex Hallows. Now, obviously, pit stops have got involved, but the top 3, most importantly, haven't made any pit stops yet. So all of this is a battle for position. Now, perhaps Max Weichel is going to come in this lap, but then that would mean they're all in on traffic, and even though double stacking doesn't really work in R-Factor because they all have different garages, perhaps 8-6 is going to leave one driver out to go longer. I don't know if they're in a call or anything, but no, Max Weichel stays out. Jakob goes in, which means I imagine Max will come in at the end of this lap. Most of the top 10 go in there. So now it's important to see what Max Weichel does, and I am going to put your track map on now. You can see the track map now somehow. I must have changed a setting somewhere. You can see most of the track map, so we can see where Jakob is. I will point him out to you. He is in traffic at the moment. He is Cal on the map, K-A-L he should be, so he's in 7th currently. And you can track him on the map. He's caught up in a bit of traffic at the moment. We'll see what's going on. I think there he is. He seems to be minding his own business in that traffic, in all fairness to him. Massey going for the move on the straight on Am Hammond. It looks like he's going to have it done by halfway down, which I think he might do. It's the battle of the top speeds, and Massey has definitely got that done, unless Am Hammond wants to come back for the move, which he doesn't. Now we're going to move forward again. Josh Jones and Alex Hallows touch, sending Alex Hallows wide, and then allowing Josh Jones through, and Gabriel Lafreniere is getting involved, going down the inside, and he has possibly got the move stick, and now Jakob goes around both of them, and he is obviously furious at the moment. We'll cut away to Max Weichel. He is roughly about 2/3 of the way through his lap now, going through sector 3 now, the fastest section of the track. Surely he's going to come in this lap. But he is lucky because Jakob will have lost quite a bit of time to him. So we'll see if he is coming in. No, he's staying out for another lap. And you imagine maybe Aegis is going in. Aegis is staying out. The 8-6 drivers are staying out for quite a long time, which gives Jakob enough time to lose quite a few positions, but get held up by this traffic in Joris Bilkins and all of the other guys who haven't pit yet. There you go. Jakob is out of traffic now, so surely this is going to be the lap that Max Weichel and Aegis Battars pit to make sure that they can hold off Jakob and potentially not win the championship this race, but win the championship next race. I'm sure they are very hungry to retain their championship. And you can see their Kalpasic in 3rd as you watch the map. So you're looking for number 3 and number 1, Weichel and Kalpasic, and then Battars to see if he can make the overcut work on Jakob, which looks possible with the traffic that Jakob came out with. But that being said, there is quite a large gap, but you do lose a lot of time in the pits in R-Factor, especially if you have a little bit of damage, which could be a problem for Max and Aegis. So it's an 18-second gap to Jakob, and that doesn't seem enough if you were Aegis or Max. Perhaps 18 seconds just isn't enough for what you lose in this pit lane. We'll have to see what happens as Max comes through sector 3 now. We'll ride on board with him as he goes through Blanchimont, and surely he's coming in this lap because the fresher tyres for Jakob, although they are gaining on him, which is curious. And there we go, Max does come in finally for his stop, and now watch Jakob. You can see Jakob coming through. We're going to ride on board with him. It could be close. Aegis has stayed out and Max Weichel is moving again. So we will see. It doesn't look like it's even going to be close. Perhaps Max has even gained time. He's stopping, actually. Max is currently stopping. And now he's away again. So watch this move. Now, Kalpasic, how close is he going to be? Oh, it's quite close, but it isn't close enough. Max retains his lead. And now 8-6 are well and truly in the driving seat for this championship. We'll have a look at what the live chat is saying, if anything. I am So, Turnan Urbari Yaziki, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but you want to know what is going on with cars. So, I explained earlier in the stream, the cars are smoking because these guys are on radiator 1, and because of the amount that the gearbox is having to work basically this lap is very much on throttle, and you're on throttle for a lot of this lap, almost Monza levels. Anna Kopic retiring there. So because you're on for that long, the gearbox doesn't like it, and especially the radiator. Now you get extra top speed with the radiator, so the cars smoke because the radiator and the engine isn't enjoying it, so it's letting out all of that heat. But mechanical damage is off, so the engine can't blow up. This is to avoid people like downshifting too early, which is quite easy in these cars. And with the all assists off or not, there is no mandatory level of assist because we have some pad users in this, we have a lot of wheel users. Dimitri's a keyboard user, and because of that, it really depends on what assist you want to use. But I think the top guys do run some assists, but not like there's no braking line that you can use in R-Factor or things like that. Josh Jones going for the move on Alex Hallows round the outside into Blanchimont. Looks like he's going to make the move stick, and he does. And brakes later into the bus stop as well, making sure that that move is done. And we'll look towards the front again. We won Aegis, Max, Jakob, Dimitri, Simon, Peter Jones, Massey, Emma Hammond, and then Joris Bilkins, which it crucially means 8-6 are currently in the driving seat to take the title. Aegis Voiteurs obviously hasn't pitted yet, so we'll take this map off for the moment. And we'll follow on board with Max Whiteshot. So how long left in this race? Lap 9. So there will be 2 laps left at the end of this lap. What, lap 10, sorry. Which means lap 9. Which means we'll be on lap. You get what I mean. If R-Factor says lap 8, that means it's lap 9. Because R-Factor counts the start of the race as lap 0. Which is a confusing thing in R-Factor. And it makes no sense. But that's how the game is made. So I imagine Aegis will be coming in at the end of this lap. Smoke billowing out of his 8-6 car. I suppose you could say there is nothing wrong with his car, except for it is on fire. He does come into the pits, and now we're going to look at the map again, because we want to see if Max Weichel is able to get him, or if he's able to make the overcut work on Jakob, which I doubt will happen. As you can see, Max has already taken him, and Jakob might be. We're going to see. Or it's going to be close, because Jakob still has to slow down. We're going to see. It is going to be close. And Aegis just makes it stick. And now he's just behind on the gearbox of Jakob. So we're going to follow him in his, not T-cam, but this onboard camera. Which is the best onboard camera in my opinion. Now Jakob obviously has the extra top speed. Or the extra speed because of Eau Rouge. But now in the slipstream, look how powerful that slipstream is. He pulls to the inside to make a move into the chicane. Jakob brakes later than him, but he is able to just squeeze him out as Aegis. And that means that so far, Aegis is 8-6 will be retaining the title. Well, not necessarily, but 8-6 could be retaining the title if they win this. In fact, I think if they get a 1-2, then they would retain the title, because that would be... I will do my maths right now. So 25 plus 18, which would be, I will use my calculator for this, rather embarrassing, but we have to be quick. So 25 plus 18. Actually, the battle rages on. 25 plus 18 is 43, which would mean they have an extra 43 points on 292, which plus 43 which would mean 335 points. And then because Kopik won 3rd and 8th, that would mean, I believe, 8th place gets 3 or 4 points. Let me just double check. We can watch as this battle rages on. So it goes 18, 15. So Jakub would be on 15, so it's 207 plus 15 plus, as he gets the slipstream down the camel straight, which means he will probably make this move stick. We go to the outside. Peculiarly, we are on the penultimate lap of this race, and Aegis Batters breaks earlier than him, and Jakub makes the move stick. Which would mean these maths wouldn't exactly count, but Aegis is still in the driving seat for the last lap because of the slipstream. So, it is. So it'd be 207 plus 15 plus 4, and Aegis spins! There's contact and they spin! And that allows Dimitri through. And that could dent the championship fight. Even though that could mean that they don't take the title, and all of that maths is wrong. Now, Dimitri through to 3rd, Aegis in 5th, and Simon in 5th, sorry. I don't know what I'm saying, because that was unplanned to say. Was that Max Weichel making a mistake? Not too bad. Then we'll look further back to see if there's any more stuff. The Ozone cars. And Joe Gillard! Oh, he takes out his teammate! He flips, almost, and then takes out his teammate. He was completely out of control. He couldn't do anything about that. I mean, it was his fault. But only because he made a mistake. He couldn't do anything. But that wasn't a cynical move. But there will be some angry words in their team ratio right now. Aegis and Dimitri in a fight. Aegis wanting his 3rd place back. And it looks like he's going to go round the outside through La Source. And Dimitri gets a worse line out of there. And a worse exit. And that allows Aegis through. And are they going to go side by side through Eau Rouge? I don't think so. Now we'll follow along with Dimitri. This is the final lap. This is the last big overtaking spot in the lap. Is Dimitri going to make it? He pulls through to the inside. Textbook move. But it is going to be a competition of the late braking. And Aegis just about makes it stick. That is unbelievable late braking. He broke as late as you feel he probably comfortably could there. And that's possibly secured him the 3rd place for 8-6. But we will see. Dimitri now definitely in the slipstream. Lifts, and Aegis just slips away from him. He's definitely too far back to make a move in the remainder of this lap. As you can see, he is... Well, they are pretty much coming into Sector 3 now. That is the Sector 3. Or the next corner is the Sector 3 line. There. So, heading through Sector 3, surely he's too far back now. We'll come back to this battle in a second, just after Max Weichel takes the checkered flag through the final chicane. Now, the bus stop, if he makes the bus stop cleanly, he will come through to be a victor of the feature race here at Spa. And the title fight is now well and truly in his hands, but Dimitri now sees if he can go through. It's going to be a sprint race to the line, and Aegis just makes it, and then Simon comes through for the P5. What a race that was. Now let's see if Max Weichel's doing any donuts, because now they are one race away from victory here for the championship. Now they outscored Kopik there, which means Kopik have got an even bigger job to do heading into race 2. So pretty much, I think, if 8-6 both get... if one of them gets on the podium, as long as Kopik don't get a 1-2, then I think the title fight is off and 8-6 will win the title here. So we are going to a quick break, and then we will be with you for the sprint race here at Spa. So we'll see you after the warm-up. race 2 here in the virtual open wheel series Belgian Grand Prix will be getting underway shortly. So the 86 drivers know what they need to do to win the championship, and it isn't much. As long as they get decent point finishes and don't let Copic have a good race. Or Copic need a miracle pretty much to win from here. So 8-6. So, sorry. Bear with me. So, it would need a miracle from here for Copic to win the championship. But, of course, miracles can happen. And we will see at the end of this race. If 8-6 have a bad race, then all's to play for in series. And of course, eyes on the Driver Championship. That could get even more. That could get even more competitive heading into series, because it is the realm of the unknown. No one knows what is going to happen in series, the Greek Grand Prix, because no one's raced a track before. So it should be entertaining. We're going to see how long we've got. We'll just tell everyone we want to get going. Alright, just setting up my stream so I can see chat again. Okay, so we will be getting underway ASAP, I imagine. I've been told we're getting underway ASAP, which is why I am watching, why I am currently talking. 1 minute, okay. So, do I think 8-6? Yeah. I hate to be cynical, but even if 8-6, even if Copic do beat 8-6, which I'm not sure if it's possible with how 8-6 finished. I think it is possible, but they would need like a one. They basically need 1-2s for the rest of the season. So they need a 1-2 here, then 2 1-2s in series, which is just unlikely to say the least, and not through any fault of Copic, their cars. It's just that 8-6 are very strong and they should have just Meister back by series, and Amar Hammond hasn't necessarily shown the pace, with all due respect to him, this season to say that he could be challenging for second place, but anything can happen. Oh yeah, and 8-6 would also have to both DNF out of the Grand Prix, which we haven't seen at all this season. So pretty much, I would expect 8-6 to take home the championship in the next race, if we're being realistic. As in, now, for race 2. But we will see. These races do tend to throw surprises at us. But you can never be sure, but I'd say it's highly likely that we're going now. So yeah, I'd say it's highly unlikely that Copic are going to win the championship. It's been a very good run out for them, and with the Drivers' Championship, I think...
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
I'd say it's all to play for in the Drivers' Championship, dependent on the result here. So it's German on pole for race 2. We'll see how well or not. Okay. He doesn't understand the reverse grid, but we will ride. I think there's a formation lap here. Oh, that's massive. And it's formation lap now underway. Obviously, the 8-6 cars have to start at the back along with the Copic cars. So there is everything to play for. I think it could get very, very confusing into La Source and down the Kennel Straight. If I had to predict a winner for this race, I would say it's either going to be Jakob, Max, or Aegis. Actually, I'm going to go with the dark horse and say Josh Jones. I'd say if Josh Jones had a good first 2 laps, he could win it, but realistically, I'm going to say that the 8-6 boys are going to come home with a 1-2. It would round off their championship nicely. They'd win the constructors, and then we'd have a drivers shootout next race in the Greek Grand Prix. So obviously Max Weichel would get 28 points if he wins today, which would mean that I think the maximum points you get 18 for a second race victory. So the maximum points in a championship you can get is 28 plus 25, plus 18. So in one round you can get 43 points. So if it's 13 points gap plus 43, take away Jakob's 18, the championship is very much still on, even if Max does win it. As unlikely as it'd be, it could happen, and if Jakob has a good race here and gets a win, then all is to play for in series. And I hope that does happen, because it'd be a very entertaining race, no matter what happens, to be fair. And then after series, we'll probably have the Season 5 announcements. And trust me, the Season 5 announcements are going to be brilliant. So, yeah. So, going through Sector 3 now. I'm pretty sure that's No Name Corner and then Blanchimont. So Blanchimont coming up. And already investigation request. So the grid reforming now. That's a Krauset car of Max Krauset. Very interesting formation up for him. But now this is going to be interesting. German overshooting his grid slot there slightly. So we wait for the lights warming up their engines. Although this circuit does like to warm up engines for you, as we saw in race 1. Light's taking quite a while to get on, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's lights out, and away we go. Peter Jones starting with the pit lane for some reason, but that is a good start from Creox Baguette there, who looks for the move into La Source. Doesn't quite make it, and German retains his lead. Past Dimitri there, going quite wide. German retains his lead, but I doubt that will last long onto the Kemmel Straight. That's a good start at the back for Massimiliano Ribioli. So German coming through now. It looks like Max. Oh, there's a big crash! That is a big crash! You've got who was involved there? You've got Dimitri, and then they've both flipped. Is that Simon? That's Massey! Massey! And then, is that? I don't know who that is. We will check. It's Creox Baguette. Massey, Creox Baguette and Peter Jones all coming together and coming off very bad from that. And now the 8-6 guys. German still in the lead. And Josh Jones goes through on Max Krauset, and they somehow don't make any contact there. And then there's battles further back with the other Velocity Motorsport cars. And now is that Aegis Batars goes through on Max Krauset and potentially on Josh Jones too. But not yet. Max Krauset seems to be keeping him at bay, pushing him slightly wide there. But you would have to say that Aegis is probably the favourite in that battle over the duration of this race. And now we're looking back. Max Krauset goes quite wide there, but it leaves Aegis where he is. And now Max Weichel goes through on Aegis. He makes that stick as well. And now currently 8-6 are in a championship winning position, which is the crucial thing. And German, and now everyone is on the hunt for German. And you would have to imagine that after the week Mazda Motorsport have had, whether they are the heroes or the villain in this scenario, you say that would be a very crucial podium or win for them. But whether it happens or not, we won't know when Josh Jones and Max Krauset collide. And that lets most of the that lets Max Weichel through. Josh Jones, though, comes off quite well from it. Max Weichel follows Josh Jones up Eau Rouge. And he's going to make it past him, is he? He does make it past him. Now he's on the hunt for German. And as I said, now 8-6 are in a championship winning position. As it stands, 8-6 will be your team's champions of Season 4 of the Virtual Open Wheel Series, which is the most important thing for them. Now, as long as 8-6, but with you have got Aegis going for the move there, and Max Krauset around the outside into this really off-camber corner, and now it's basically 4 wide. Through where it shouldn't be 4 wide. And you've got a big crash. That is a big crash. Further back, I don't know who that was, and that is Gabriel Lafreniere. Goma haven't had a very good race now with their incidents. And now we're going to go forward. German, Max Weichel is on the hunt for German, and you have to think perhaps he is going to make this move stick in a couple of laps' time. And German on the gravel, and that's going to allow Max to open the door, and he's going to go through on him. He does make it. This is quite good racing with smoke billowing out of both of their cars. Into Blanchimont. German's going to have another look. He doesn't make it stick. How is Max going to deal with this into the bus stop? Because you know full well German is going to go for the move. Max outbrakes him completely, and German is left to force Max wide, actually. And then both Josh Jones, Aegis Battars, and Jakob all go through. And even though 8-6 is currently in a championship winning position, Jakob goes through on Aegis. And then how many laps have we got left? We are on lap 3. We're halfway through this race. And now Jakob goes through on Josh Jones. Is he going to try and go for the move into Eau Rouge and Raidillon? I don't think he is. But now he's going to definitely have a look down on going for his textbook outside move down the Kemmel Straight. We're going to see, is Aegis also going to get involved? I think he does. And Aegis comes off better of the 3 of them, I think. And he goes for it. And he goes for the move, and Jakob's forced wide. Surely Jakob's going to have to concede the position. He's just completely cut the chicane. Surely he has to concede the position. I don't think he's going to. I think he is going to stand his ground and let the stewards decide. But if he, considering he didn't concede that position, that could be a huge, that could be quite a decent penalty and hurt their championship. But Aegis has gone through on him now. And now Simon, the dark horse, is now looking for a podium position. If he can make it go, if he can go through on Jakob, this could be a very important podium for Reading Game. Massey there trying to recover what he can out of his race. And so we're going to follow Simon, because not only do we get a good view of this battle, but maybe also he can get involved himself down the Kemmel Straight. If he overtakes either of these cars, or they come together, that could be a podium for him, and then even a podium for the person behind him, who I don't know right now, which is one of the Force Polona cars. No, Velocity, of course. It was one of the two, and turns out it was Velocity. Now the battling between Jakob and Aegis, a battle of well, they haven't been liking each other too well in the chat, in the game chat. And now Aegis going quite deep, which makes Simon go deep as well. Josh Jones, there is slight contacts, but that's probably game lag. So we're going to follow this. It is pretty much a 4-way battle for a podium. And Simon, he goes for the move up Eau Rouge and through Raidillon. And they went side by side through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. And now Simon is looking to go through on both Aegis and Jakob. If he can just brake late enough, he can go through. And there's contact. And now Aegis is still through on Simon. As we are in lap number 4 now. 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix. In the race 2 of Virtual Open Wheel Series. Belgian Grand Prix. And we will have to see what the stewards say after this race. But also, the other Copic car is there. But crucially, 8-6 are outscoring the 1-2 Copic, which would mean in 2 laps' time they could be crowned Season 4 champions of the Virtual Open Wheel Series. Simon almost goes to the outside to let Jakob through, almost as if he's saying, "Yeah, you can have that position to go and fight for the championship." But I don't think he would be saying that. We're now waiting into Blanchimont to see who gets the better exit out of the bus stop. And obviously the Kemmel Straight for the penultimate time. Slipstream showing again how powerful it is in these last couple of races in Vals with these high and low downforce tracks. But obviously Spa being more of a, just being important because of the big long straights and also the windy sections. All of it still needing that slipstream. And he goes to the dive bomb and isn't quite able to make it. Thinks better of it because that could end up in him tagging Jakob. And it looks like Aegis is being allowed to kind of get away with his second place at the moment as we head into the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. Oh, and that's much better exit out of Eau Rouge for Simon there. It looks like he's going to make the move on Jakob, but obviously he doesn't want to make the move. He gets on the grass. He possibly doesn't want to make the move into at the end of the Kemmel Straight. He does kind of let him go because obviously slipstream is very important, and the more these two battle, the more the 86 cars are allowed to get away with the 1-2 and then their championship. Even if Jakob does make this position, 86 would still get the championship because they have outscored Copic in both races. So what withering hopes Copic had, they are now quickly withering away. And it looks like Simon is going to have a very important last corner, or very important Kemmel Straight at the end of this Grand Prix. As we are going through the end of Sector 2 into Sector 3 now. Sector 3 now, I should say. Or now. It's one of the two. That section is quite finicky in these cars. And most of those corners pretty much look the same. And now Simon has kind of dropped back on Jakob. And Max Reichel is let to walk away with the win, which would also really help his championship battle. So now we're going to follow on board with Simon to see what happens with these two cars. And maybe himself getting involved. 100 metre board, second gear. Make sure he doesn't get any understeer out of here. And he clips the curb just enough. And that seems to be a better exit out of that corner for Jakob than Aegis. Second gear, quite slow, and look how close Simon is, and look how close Jakob is to Aegis. Massey and Joris have both retired from this race. Once again, he gets a better exit out of Eau Rouge and Radion than Jakob does Simon, which means it looks like Jakob's title fight is going to take a huge dent as Aegis goes for the move. Simon goes for the move. And is he going to be able to cover it? He makes it. That is P3 now for Simon. We now run 8-6-8-6 reading game and then Copic. But Jakob obviously isn't going to be done yet. He goes to the inside into the very off-camber corner. Is he able to make it? Obviously, this means Simon's going to have the inside for the next corner. And he managed to fend him off for now. This is quite an entertaining battle. And it looks like Copic's championship hopes are definitely dented now. It looks like 8-6 are almost there. They've all but won the championship. You have to fancy them now. And just to double check, this is the final lap. This is the final lap. This is the last chance that Copic have to salvage their championship hopes. And I know what I said in the warm-up, but miracles do happen. And by the looks of it, a miracle isn't going to be able to happen into series unless both Max and Aegis have like a power cut or something, which is highly unlikely. It hasn't ever happened, I don't think, in the Virtual Open Wheel Series, so I doubt it would happen again. Simon looks pretty dead and buried. Our top 3 looks set in, but maybe he could go for the dive bomb into the bus stop. He goes for it. He brakes as late as he physically is able to, and Jakub just holds him off. But can he get a better exit? I think he can, but is it going to be the P3? No, it isn't. Jakub holds him off, but most importantly, 8-6 have won the Constructors title. They do the donuts. They've won the Constructors Championship here in the Virtual Open Wheel Series. So it was Max Weichel, Jakub, and then the 8, and then the Copic Motorsport car. If you bear with me in 1 second, I will be back in a second. So 8-6 win the championship. We'll see you next time in series. I'm sorry I have to shoot off. I've got to be somewhere. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in series next week. Can Max Weichel continue his dominant form and take the double for 8-6? Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you all later. Good night.